Joan and Ryan. And that's why I'm here. So my goal for this call is really, I'm going to give you guys every piece of information I have with respect to the national championship starting in an hour. I'll be mindful of that for those of you who care. I don't anymore because Michigan State's out, which is probably a good thing. I probably would have canceled this call had they made it past the Final Four. No, I wouldn't have. But so yeah, my goal for you guys is really to show you exactly how to become full-time in this business, how to build for that, how to set very easy marginal goals to make sure you're on track, and really to give you guys kind of a no bullshit, this is exactly what you have to do, go do it or don't kind of talk. I mean, that's what I would want. And I know there's a lot of people on here that's what you want to hear. So that's what I'm going to do. So really the biggest part about this, I think, is really matching your goals, your expectations, and everything that you want out of the business with the amount of work that you're willing to put in. I think that's the number one mistake that I see is everybody signs up and we're like, hey, let's talk about goal setting. And they're like, well, hell yeah, Million Club, they want it all. And I get it, like we do too. But if you're not willing to show up and put that kind of work to get in there, it's a recipe for disaster. And we see it all the time. And don't take that as like, if you have huge goals, you have to put up huge numbers, because the power in this business really isn't putting up huge numbers. It's putting up consistent numbers for a long time. Like Jamie has a ton of accolades, and honestly, the engine that keeps our business going and has built it to where it is, the engine is the fact that she's hit Success Club for I think it's 65 months in a row now, okay? That's what built everything. I'm talking about Success Club. For 4 years of that, it was SC6, all right? And the way that we were able to build so many business builders and stuff with just hitting SC6 was really just focusing on the foundation of the business. And I'll get into that a little bit. But that's what I want you guys to focus on, is that kind of consistency requires you to have a vision for a long time. And that's really hard for people in this business. But rest assured, if you can just do that, you don't even really have to have a vision. Just believe me. And whenever you hit a plateau, readjust and keep going and be here in 5 years and hit Success Club every time. And do and focus on the things that I'm going to kind of explain and lay out. That's what I want you to do. So first of all, for those, any Emeralds on the call, okay? Emerald is probably the biggest part of my talk right now, because for those of you that are pushing for Emerald, that are Emerald, that are Diamonds who have Emerald, Star Diamonds who have a ton of Emeralds, that is the part in the business where it's kind of a make or break. And the thing that sucks about being an Emerald coach is it is by far the hardest part of the business. And people don't really understand that. They kind of look at the whole business being hard because that's where you start. And then they just put this they just kind of imagine the rest of it, like more people, more responsibility. It's gonna be harder and harder and harder. And that's not at all how it is. It gets so much easier after Emerald. And the biggest problem with Emerald is there's 4 ways of making money in this business, 4 main ways. And that's commissions, team cycle bonus being the monster that's going to pay all your paycheck, rank bonuses, and matching bonus. Okay, matching bonus, you won't even see it. It won't be substantial for years. So get that out of your mind. Rank bonus, you'll see where they kind of sneak in. Team cycle bonus is the main point of my talk, and you don't touch it as an Emerald. So first of all, anybody who's an Emerald, yes, I know you open your business, you can cycle as an Emerald, but there's no volume there. It's not going to happen. And I think that's where people really mess up, is because they stay in the Emerald zone for too long, or they just have really high expectations for the amount of money they should be making for the work that they're putting in. And this is the business where it's absolutely backwards. You're going to be establishing your business for a long time before you make any of that money in team cycle bonus. So, that's really where I want people to, I'm going to pull this up right here. I want you to understand team cycle bonus in a very important way. So I'm sure a lot of you guys kind of understand how it works, but when you're an Emerald, this is how team cycle bonus first appears, okay? And a lot of people will quit right here. I would say 90% of Beachbody coaches quit because of this, okay? So you need 200 on one leg, 100 on the other. All right, and we're just looking at PV there, or total volume, really. But if we look at Shakeology, Shakeology is 90 PV. If we just look at what it takes to cycle one time, you need 3 people on one side and you need 2 over here, and you have rollover volume. But essentially what you're telling and being in this emerald zone is when you guys first start, everybody knows signing up 5 people is super hard. And the result of signing up 5 people when you don't have a business that's structured to really harness volume yet is this. You cycle 5, or you work your ass off to get these 5 people in, and then you cycle one time per month at $14. And if you stop here, guess what? You're going to make another $14 the next month. And that's it. And people will sit here and do variations of this, and they'll make 28 bucks and then 14 and then 0. And they don't know why it was 0. They expected the 28 to go up. They don't understand how this stuff is coming in. And this is where I see all Beachbody coaches lose their steam. And right there's a huge, really, if you think about what happens here, I'm just going to pause before I keep drawing, is when your warm market burns up, okay, for some people have an awesome warm market, some people have a terrible one, right? And a lot of it is who and how you're willing to engage with your warm market. But when that burns up, it's really like you're either an emerald or you're barely a diamond, I would say, is generally when people stop saying yes that you know. And that's when you have to switch to your cold market. Now, this is where the whole business becomes uncomfortable for a lot of people. If you don't like making friends, this business is going to be impossible. The cool thing is you can learn to make friends. You can learn to find your voice and connect with people just by doing it. But if you're not willing to do that, there's the door. That's where a lot of people, they just won't succeed without doing that, right? So that's a huge thing. When we talk with coaches and we're trying to help them, and this is not really my part of the business because Jamie's so good at helping people put themselves out there on social media, connecting with people, whatnot. But when we talk to people, we ask them, are you connecting? Are you inviting? Are you doing all these things? And it's always yes, 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 yes. But what it comes down to is, are you making friends, right? This person who you're having a good conversation with, can you escalate that to where you guys would meet on Facebook? Or are they local? Would you meet them in person? Are you going to text with them? All those things to really make them true friends. That's your goal in this business. Okay, the people that are going to be on your team, that are going to make up for all the volume along with you building it yourself, and really your business partners, they have to be your best friends. So how are you doing on your quest to making friends? Are you just kind of bullshitting with people on Instagram? Are you actually connecting with them? Are you proving the value of your business so that they want to talk to you? I mean, all these things are super important, and they all come back to volume, okay? So let me just look up my notes here on, yeah. So when this warm market burns up, you really have 2 choices, okay? That's when you're going to first hit that plateau. You can either keep going and be successful. Everyone will be successful if they just keep going and figure shit out. That's how this business works. Or you can plateau for a while and quit. There's 2 choices at that spot. If you want to be successful, if you're in this spot right now, if you have coaches in this spot right now, you have to reach out. You have to be willing to talk to your upline and say, hey, this is what I'm bad at, or tell me what I'm bad at. If you're cool with tough love, you're going to be good at this business, because the whole point of this kind of awkward phase of establishing yourself is trying to expose your weaknesses and turn them into strengths as best you can. I mean, we can't do it with all of them, but as long as you have that mindset, a lot of people get really offended at the advice we give them, even though it's exactly what they need to do, right? So you have to really look at it unemotionally and expose all the parts in the business that you're neglecting. If there's something that you're bad at, you need to spend all your time on that until you can do it mindlessly. Usually that's reaching out. Usually that's connecting. It's Success Club. Maybe it's the vital behaviors for you. All of those things are super important to just own that. And really every time you hit these plateaus, all you have to do is be resourceful, ask for help, and come up with a new game plan. That's it. Like, people ask me, how do you, do one thing in the business? So I'm like, I don't know. The business changes so often. Go figure it out. That's the best part of it, is like anytime social media changes, which it does very often, that is an opportunity for someone who's new to the business to be at the forefront of that. And there's so many instances like that where all you have to do is really be mindful of this and constantly be shifting your game plan. And then when you don't need to shift your game plan, when things are doing great, double down on it. But I can tell you from experience, we'll double down on something, and a year later, we have to change it, and something starts to get stagnant. And you have to have that mindset to constantly be better. And you'll hear people say, like, be 1% better every day. That's kind of what it comes down to. But the ultimate mindset that you really have to have, and guys, this is where it's so simple, okay? You need to set a goal, hit the goal, and right there, it doesn't matter if it takes you a month, a year, 2 years. This is a long-term business. You need to set a goal and hit that goal in whatever amount of time and set a new goal. So if you're an Emerald, your goal, if you want to be a full-time coach, is to be a Diamond coach, guaranteed. You need to use Success Club to get to Diamond. If you're bad at Success Club, you got to get on board with it. And the cool thing about that is, I would say almost every coach that we sign up, almost every one of the very successful coaches that we've signed up has started being bad at Success Club. They've learned it. Other people have decided not to, but nobody really comes in. Some people do. I think, Joan, you did. You came in swinging and hit Success Club 10 right off the bat. Most people don't do that. It's cool. We didn't do that either. You don't have to be a stud like that. You can work your way into that, right? So you really have to have that mindset of just constantly going. The way that we got to 15-star was pushing for Diamond, a year later hitting 2-star, pushing for Elite that following year, not getting it, whatever, then pushing for Elite again, getting it. And then from there, we just stayed. You were like, you know what? We don't need to be anything more than 7-star at the time. We're building volume. We're opening business centers, all the important things that you have to do. And eventually it got to the point where it was like, okay, where's our next goal? Let's resume and let's, make more goals to hit. So if you have that mindset, you don't need to, a lot of people look at like Elite and Superstar and all these things and think that that's the only place to make full-time money. And I'll show you that is, everybody who's in that is making more than what you consider full-time money to be. So I'm going to show you exactly where that kind of emerges and give you guys a new plan on how to be full-time, okay? So we look at this. This is our horrible TEEP cycle bonus structure that we have here. And really the frame of reference that I want you guys to look at is this, okay? So if you want to be a full-time coach, to me, that's 50K, 100, which is really weird in our business because if you're doing the right thing, your business is constantly growing. If you're doing the wrong thing, it's constantly going down. So having a definitive number is tough, but $1,000 a week is kind of what we're going for. And all I look at is team cycle bonus. That's it. This is the meat of what we want. And everything else is just extra cool, fun stuff. But this is what I want you guys to focus on. So I'm going to give you guys 3 new steps, okay? For some of you guys, this is what I was talking about. This might be overwhelming to you, but that's okay because this is exactly what you need to do. Nothing less, nothing more, okay? Step 1, to be a full-time coach, you need to be Diamond. It's not for any other reason other than you need a Diamond structured team to be able to really hone in on volume. You cannot focus on building volume as an Emerald. It's just very short-sighted. You're immediately, if you do a great job at it, you're immediately going to hit your cap and you're going to have to focus towards building rank. So it's just a backwards way of doing it. So number 1, Diamond. Number 2, solid Diamond. This is kind of a gimme for everybody, right? I'm going to give you a nice, easy step, solid Diamond. But this is a very, very important one. And step 3 is 2-star, okay? These are the 3 things that you need to do to be a full-time coach. That's it. Okay, so for those of you guys that are Emerald, Diamonds, I mean, as soon as you get here, okay, a couple steps away, and you can open that second business center, you become your own business builder. And I'm going to show you exactly how that works, but it's a huge deal. The reason number 2 is so big is for the first time in your business, you can start to isolate or start to identify and build weak leg volume. Until you're a solid Diamond, it's inappropriate to do that, okay? So this is where we're going to really start to focus on building income. If you're not a solid Diamond, don't expect your income to rise unless you are just trying to sell more and more challenge packs, right? And that's not residual income, so I would never steer anybody down there. That's just bonus money. So why? Let's see why. So this is what a Diamond business looks like. You're my Diamond. Here we go. So 3 coaches and 1 Emerald. And for those of you guys that don't know, that's just a coach down there on either one of those. I'm going to erase that though because it's sloppy. Okay, so this is Diamond. Everybody knows that. So what's solid Diamond? solid diamond is different for some people, but essentially the point of solid diamond is you need to be able to have your structure, your diamond structured team, take the hit of cancellations. Cancellations come all the time, guys. The beautiful thing about Beachbody is we do the hard, correct way towards health and fitness, and that has collateral damage because a lot of people aren't willing to do that. And once they come in here and see we're doing real work, they gone, right? So you're going to have a lot of cancellations. Expect them. Another reason that diamond is such a hard part of the business is those inevitable cancellations rock your business when you have a small team, right? I can get 30 cancellations in a week. I don't. That would be bad, I guess. But organizationally, I bet we have 50 people quit a week. You know, we don't even blink because you have to expect that. All right. So the solid diamond, you need to just be able to take the hit. So for me, it's 6 active coaches. Okay. And if you control an emerald, 1 is fine. If this is, you know, Susie, and Susie's one of your emeralds that, you know, you're just trying to help build or help them build their business, you have to keep in mind they're making no money, like I said. So if they have the wrong expectations, if they're not willing to do the work, any of those multitude of reasons that emeralds quit, you need to be able to protect your business from them quitting as well. So if this is somebody you don't control, 2 emeralds to me is solid. All right. And the cool thing about this is once we have this structured this way, we can totally change what we're doing. We can see where's our weak leg volume. So this can look different in a lot of ways. You might get strong leg volume from your upline. You might get it from where you're adding people. You might get it from, you know, a couple business builders emerging. It doesn't matter how you're getting it. Your job is to build it, right? So if you don't have any strong leg volume and you're kind of 50-50, it's kind of a cool spot to be, not for volume right now because you're still shifting, but you just go back and forth. And that's a great way to build your rank very, very quickly, which has a ton of awesome benefits to it too, which then turn around marketing ways right back into volume. But if you do have any sort, let's say you have a strong leg. So you're going to isolate this and we're going to look at this being our weak leg. All right. So the cool thing, and kind of my example of 5 people as an emerald making $14, now for the first time I can say, okay, I'm going to sign 5 more people up. And now, because this is my weak leg, I'm going to put all of them right there. And this is what you will hear as building your weak leg. You find it, and that's where you start putting people. And now look at what this does. Because we have a diamond structure team, we're at $18 instead of 14. Doesn't seem like a big difference, but your goal as a full-time coach to cycle hundreds of times a week, right? So this is a huge, huge difference. So now we look at this and we have 5 people all buying Shakeology, same example here, right? With extra volume, everyone's buying, you know, Energize or whatever. Filling that gap to 10 is really easy. Essentially what we have is 5 or a cycle per person. So now 5 people spikes us from $14 a month to $90 a month. Okay, that's the first time where you can see, aha, there's a jump there. Still not mind-blowing, right? But we're moving in the right direction. The huge part of this, right? This is where a lot of people make a big mistake too. If you're not fully invested in your team getting results with the products, they're not going to reorder anything, right? When you get somebody awesome results and you go and you add 5 more people and you took care of the 5 people from last month, now we're building very quickly, right? We add 5 more people. You can see this, I mean, this every month going up by $90, that sounds pretty good, right? And we're still just getting started. So these are the kinds of numbers that I really want you guys to focus on because this is what full-time, this is how you build to full-time. So spouse accounts, who doesn't have their spouse signed up? Devastating. You have to sign them up right away because even if they're right here, okay, and you guys are just starting off, everything that you're doing, you want that to be just collected in their account. And as long as they're active, it will be. That volume will just pin. I think for me, before I started making money, before we started building ours, I had like 2.8 million in rollover volume just sitting there waiting for me, which is great because then every time I built, you guys know, 2-to-1 ratio, I've got 2-to-1 built in for 10 years. So that's an awesome thing. That's why you not need to get your spouse there. The cool thing about the spouse is, let's say we have this weak leg and we have a spouse on a weak leg. Some of you guys don't have spouses, whatever. I'm just going to show you what this looks like. If you have a spouse here, you've been building them strong leg volume. So now when we get to the point where we're trying to jump up in rank, right, and build towards our 2-star, we have a place in our business where if we want to start building our spouse's account, now we have a weak leg on a weak leg. And that's really, when you start opening business centers, this is the biggest way to make money in Beachbody is opening business centers, filling them with volume. How do you fill them with volume? You be willing to invite new people to add to your business, and you get them all results so that they fall in love with the products. That's as simple as it gets. But here we have a spot now where in our same example, these 5 people that we now add make this account cycle that we control, and then it rolls up here. So the whole point really, when you look in your back office and you've been doing this for 5 years, you're looking for places in your business that can give you the most cycles. So if you have a business center, and it's 3 cycles, and the other side, you have 1 business center, it's 2 cycles, I'm building here where the 3 cycle spot is, okay? That's kind of what we're looking at. So now, same thing, right? We're doubling the production and team cycle bonus that we have, making this account a diamond. And guys, for those of you pushing towards diamond, you gotta really embrace it, because I hate to break it to you, but this business is a never-ending cycle of hitting diamonds. That's all it is. You just keep doing it. Like however many coaches we've had, that's how many times we've hit diamond divided by 12, right? So that's what you really have to do. You have to get comfortable with using Success Club to make yourself diamond repeatedly for years. And it doesn't matter how fast you do it. It just matters of getting to the structure where it's really starting to allow you to harness this volume. So in our next thing here, this is why 2-star is so big of a deal, okay? And don't be afraid to put people over here. If you have a weak leg, the worst thing you can do is just be like, oh, Steve said build for volume. You got to know that in the big picture of this, we're building for volume, we're building for rank. We're building for volume, we're going back, and whenever it's appropriate, that's when you have to do that. And most of the time it's volume. Almost always it's volume. But I can tell you, if you're close to capping, you're building for rank big time. If you're close to this 2-star, you're building for rank big time, because any of the volume that you have after that business center, as we can see, is going to pay you multiple times, right? So don't be afraid to put people over here as well. But really what we're doing, and how do you make business builders? To me, the biggest thing about making business builders is getting people, all your coaches, mind-blowing results. Because what you're doing is you're handing them, in a chance to have the business be 10 times easier for them. Because someone who didn't get results, who's going for the business, they're selling products. They're not really showing the value. They're talking about the value. They can show it from other people, but when this is a relationship business, I want to sign up with the guy who did it himself. You know what I mean? Like if I want to put on muscle, I'm signing up with Ryan because I saw his body beast results, and that's what I want. I'm not going to sign up with Joan, who knows, if you guys weren't together, I would never sign up with Joan because she showed me Ryan's picture. You guys really have to think about that. We want all of our coaches, whether they ever decide to work the business or not, to have a really easy go at it. And after all, that's what we're here for after all, is to get everybody that value. So really stay focused on this. All of this stuff I'm talking about as far as building the business, it is so secondary to how much time you should spend with getting people results and changing people's lives. Because when you do, the better you become at that, the more lucrative your business becomes as you can plug these things into these business centers. So 2-star, why is it such a big deal? For one, we need a diamond on either side. Well, with our spouse, boom. And I talk to corporate too. You can do that with a parent as well. And anybody in your U+2, you can recruit for. However, they need to be involved in the business in whatever capacity you deem, I guess. But you can do that. And you can't build a sister, nothing like that. You can't build a friend. But you can build a parent or a spouse. So I think a spouse is the obvious answer, because I want all the money that I'm pinching or planning on pinching with this account to funnel right back to me. If that's a parent who needs the help, great, that's cool too. But really what we want to focus on here is having a diamond here and a diamond here. Because that's when Beachbody says, hey, you're 2-star, you get through your qualifying, you can open a new business center. This is huge, okay? So it's obviously going to go on your weak leg, wherever that may be at the time. You want to put it in a place of low volume. But if I have this spouse here, the cool thing, and this is where stuff gets a little crazy, I don't really expect you guys to understand this as much as just to use it as vision of what you will do, and it's easy to get help with this when you get there. But when you open this business center, it's going to be on your weak leg. However, you can place it anywhere in your business, all the way down from where you are on either side. So I'm going to find my weak spot, and then I'm going to see how many times I can build a cycle. So if I have a spouse right here, I actually have the ability to place it or sponsor it right here and place it right here. And this is what I call pinching an account. And the cool thing about this is, for those of you who haven't gotten here, this is really what your plan is. If you have a spouse, and if you're, especially if you're signed up directly under Joan, like the people who signed up under Jamie years ago, boom, that is waiting for you, right? So the cool thing about this is when you get to 2-star, you have a business center that's controlled by you, that's on your weak leg. So it's a guaranteed 2-cycle spot. And in this case, it's a 3-cycle spot. So when I sign up this business center, all of my people here that are building, as well as what I'm filling up here, this is establishing another strong leg coming out. And now we have, again, a spot where you have a weak leg on a weak leg on a weak leg. So every one person you put there, $18, $18, $18. Guys, when you start doing this, and if you have a spouse, right, and you start building this, or the spouse, they open a second business center. Can you still see this on the board? Okay. They open a second business center. This is what 5 years of work looks like. That's what it looks like. All right. Never mind the rank. I need it to be high enough to capture the volume, but all I want is 2-star business center, 2-star business center, 2-star, and repeatedly do this. You're allowed to have 25 business centers. So with you and a spouse, you cannot have 50 business centers. Okay. It's crazy, but that's really your goal, is to open business centers. If you can never hit diamonds, you're never going to be full-time, right? Because you haven't even opened a second business center, and that's a 2-star thing. So I don't mean to sound negative in that, because the point of all this is every single person can do this. Okay, most of our coaches did not come from any sort of fitness background. They just kind of had this mentality of, hey, I got awesome results with the program. I don't really know what happened, but I can lead you through the program, so sign up with me. And that's that works. That's what a lot of people feel comfortable with, right? As opposed to someone who's like, be up at 5 a.m. every single day. But this is what we're focusing on, because in the same way, right, if we have, ignore this excess business centers, but even just in this example, if we add 5 people here, right, you're adding $270 a month in team cycle bonus with 5 people. Again, you get them awesome results. The next month you're up to 540. You get them awesome results. I love to spin, so these are easy numbers for me. Like, think about how easy that is. That's 4 months of work with 5 people with a second business center, and nobody else on your team is doing anything. This is all you, right? So this is very, very obtainable, and you can see how these numbers creep up big time to that. I mean, opening a second business center does nothing for you. Filling it with volume is what we're talking about, right? It's like putting more people in there. So that's a huge, huge thing. Let's look at this real quick. Leadership. Leadership is probably, to me, why, with the exception of the structure, why Diamond is such an important milestone, because it's where you truly are first establishing yourself as a leader. And that's going to become a very lucrative thing as you can do it. I look at pictures. If I stalked anybody, I wanted to know if they were a successful Beachbody coach that was making good money. You know what I would look for? I would look for a picture of them somewhere surrounded by their coaches. 3, 4, 5, I don't care who it is. I mean, you can look at Joan's Instagram within one scroll. You'll see that picture. But when you have people that you've connected with and you've become such great friends with them that you're somewhere in the world or home or whatever with all those people working together, that to me, that's where I'm like, oh, you're making 6 figures. Like, just in a picture, I can tell right away. So it's a huge thing to keep building that leadership as you go. And leadership is a very simple thing. It's not about, it is about John Maxwell and like being the best at his books, I guess. If you want to go that hard, that's totally true. But on a very basic level, it's about experiencing something and turning around and making your coaches' lives easier because of what you experience. So any hardship, any roadblock, all those things that you get through, and cruising to Diamond is probably the best place in the business where you need to really pay attention to what's easy, what's hard, what really helped me navigate through it. because that is going to turn into your mentorship for your coaches on how they can get there too. And I tell you what, anybody who hits diamond has all the credentials in the world to give someone advice on how they can hit diamond. So just getting there is a huge, huge deal. And however you piece it together, it doesn't matter, because the fact is, you know, when you're in that emerald space and you're spinning your tires, you're going on Instagram, you're like, hey, join my team. And somebody's like, okay, tell me a little bit about it. Like, well, you'd be the second person. Nobody wants that, right? So that's the kind of grit that you have to get through just to get to diamond. That's why gobbling up your warm market and just not even really worrying about anything other than connecting with whoever and getting them all results so they stay and they don't quit. But that's what we're going for. And what that leadership builds towards is all this. And here's where it compounds, okay? So if I have this structure, and again, all I'm doing, I've got this new business center, I'm building it towards diamond, and then I'm gonna keep going until people want to build a business too, and I'm gonna help them build diamond. But having a diamond, for instance, just for example, and right here on this weak leg, that's a minimum of 12 people, right? And they're all ordering, so they have to be active. That, in this structure, you can check my math, I'm pretty sure, it's $648 a month in team cycle bonus. And guess what? You didn't have any of those conversations. You didn't sign any of those people up. You didn't help any of those people get results. They were not part of your workload whatsoever. All you did is help a business builder get started. This is what we're repeatedly doing. I mean, we never try to like get our coaches to work the business. All we do is just keep blazing forward, keep trying to go by example, set the pace by example. And if they want to do it too, I show them this. I'm like, this is where the money comes. You have to make a decision to be diamond. And when that happens, you can see the numbers that are attached. Them going, like, think about this. A 2-star diamond in your second business center rolling up 3 times is a minimum of triple that. It's a minimum. And it's probably more because people aren't just barely diamonds. Like 2-star, you need extra coaches too. But this is really what it goes to. Everybody else that you see, Joan, my wife, everybody that has all of these great accolades, it's not what full-time is. That's so far past full-time. I mean, we have gotten to the point where we've just met or set and hit goals to where now we have huge goals. They didn't start out that way. We just crept up that way by, continuously having that mindset and approaching it. But 2-star, that's what I really want you guys to focus on. I think the fastest I've seen anybody hit it, this kind of freak actually. She wasn't a freak, but it was a freak accident. But she signed up in January last year, and she opened her second business center in June, which is crazy if you think about it. She hit diamond. She made her mom diamond. She had one person who was like, yep, I'm doing this too. And she opened her second business there. So that's the fastest. Jamie was 2 years. Okay. Or a year and a half. I think it took her like 6 months to hit diamond, 3 months of trying, and then another year to hit 2-star. It doesn't matter how long it takes you guys to get here. It's just a matter of being there long enough for it to happen. Some people are going to do it fast. Some people are going to do it super slow. All you have to do is when you hit that plateau, you just have to think, am I going to choose to be successful and regroup and ask for advice and take advice and really, up my workload? Or am I going to just kind of sit there in the plateau and tell my coach like, oh yeah, I'm doing all the things. That's, we hear it. I don't dive into that stuff when I can see from a mile away when somebody's not doing the work because the numbers never lie, right? And the cool thing about when you start connecting is if this is you right now and you're not really a business builder or you want to go for it, know that there's going to be a delay. Because the second that you start reaching out to people, they're not going to just sign up, right? You need to really, really make roots with these people. You have to have multiple conversations and honest conversations and connecting with people who it's natural to have conversations with until they trust you. And they will never come. I mean, think about this. If I'm super insecure and I've got 40 pounds to lose and somebody reaches out to me on Instagram, or I'm sorry. Yeah. Somebody reaches out to me on Instagram. What's it going to take for me to send my before photo to a stranger on Instagram? That is not going to happen very quickly. right? I'm going to actually have to know this person's intentions. I'm going to have to know their dedication to that. I'm going to have to know a little bit about the process. And they're damn well going to have to prove to me it works with showing me results from other people. And I think that's one of the best things you can do when you see posts on Instagram. I try to do it all the time. Not all the time. I don't post that much, I guess. But you post yourself and like what just happened in your challenge group. And it's the simplest marketing thing is you can do is, hey, you guys saw my call to action, or I wouldn't say call to action, but you guys saw my post last month where I was asking people to join my challenge group. You may or may not have. I'm just super proud of the people who did, who I connected with on Instagram. Here's my guys. Here's my girls that went through the challenge group. Boom, 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 boom. Results in your face. That is just slapping people with truth, straight up, of the fact that the products work and your approach to it works. Because even a lot of people know that Beachbody products work, but they need to know that your method of accountability and approaching the program works. I mean, because otherwise they're going to sign up with me. They're going to sign up with Joan or somebody else, right? Because anybody who's showing that proof is going to get all the credibility. And the cool thing too is that's all you have to do is just constantly be, searching to give those coaches and those challengers of yours the value that you then can use for your marketing to sign your next coaches. It's a repetitive process. And all it takes is for you to stay in the trenches and really to work hard at it. Success Club happens very quickly. Okay. That's how it works when you can do this really well. 3 things. Emerald, expect no money. Diamond, as far as money goes with volume and everything, I think Diamond to me is medium to low pay, right? Because that's where Team Cycle Bonus is really starting. Rank, match, nothing. But 2-star, that's where it's medium to high pay. That's where after 2-star, I think Jamie when she was a 2-star diamond, we approached her cap. So she got, as a 2-star diamond, you're allowed $4,000 a week in Team Cycle Bonus. And I think we got up to like $2,500 or something before we were like, oh, we should really build for rank now. But that's just kind of how it works. So don't expect to have this volume coming through too soon, because it's just not going to happen. You really have to put your head down and get to this spot, and then you can expect it. And the cool thing is after 2-star, all you're doing is rinsing and repeating. That's it. Basically, when you get to 2-star, every other thing, if you want to be a superstar, great. If you want to go a million, whatever you want to do, I mean, it sounds great to everybody, right? It's just a matter of repeating the cycle of essentially what we're doing is we are constantly hitting diamond in whatever business center we need to, and we're grabbing all the new people in our business who are emeralds pushing for diamond. We're saying, do it with us. Let's get on basic accountability. I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm doing. I'll critique your conversations. I'll get you going. And as long as you're willing to put in the work, I'm going to be working right with you in the trenches. So that's kind of our basic flow on what we do. Yes, we help high-level coaches. We help with those things, but those conversations are so much easier. The hardest conversations are really training people and getting them to put that vision forward so that they just show up every day. Nobody's going to be checking in on you. Your coaches aren't going to check in on you. It's just, that's not how it goes in the business. Fitness, sure. The way that I see it is I will go and I will meet people when they're not meeting me, because that is ultimately our responsibility to people that sign up with us. My responsibility is not to get your butt out of bed to work your business, because I'm simply going to go to the next person who has their butt out of bed, and I'm going to give them all of me because they're working too. So really have that mindset and really like have that goal to just show up and do whatever you can every single day. I think that's most of what I have. If you guys have any specific questions, I'm an open book for sure. I haven't even looked at the chat. But yeah, I really just wanted to show you guys this frame, because so many people hear like, oh, congratulations, girl, your business is open, you're an emerald. And that puts this false expectation of like, oh, my business is open, I need to start making some money. And especially when spouses, like, they're the biggest pain in the ass because they have no idea what's going on, right? So, and I was too. Ryan is for sure.
Well, I was.
You were?
Yes, he's the one who signed up first. I was the one that was like, what are you doing in the other room?
Right.
Come watch Kardashians.
Yeah. Oh, man, do you guys have any questions at all?
There's a lot of like the brain buster emoji happening in that chat.
Yeah.
There is a lot of brain explosions. That's good.
Yeah, it's so simple when you just set a goal and hit it. And, you know, if you're not happy with not hitting your goal after a certain amount of time, put more work into it. Like Rob Pearson told me this. He's like, I looked at, you know, after we were a couple of years into this business, and I saw a bunch of people who had been there before us and didn't really do anything for a long time. And all of a sudden they spiked and they started doing stuff like this. And it's like they sat there and did nothing for 2.5, 3 years. And all of a sudden it clicked. And now their whole family's lives has changed because they made it past here. And him and I were talking about it. And he's like, yeah, really? I mean, this business kind of is like, if you just keep trying and you don't quit, you're guaranteed to be successful, because people stop trying and they quit on themselves. And that's it. And they don't, you know, I can't tell you how many people quit right out the gate. I'm like, hey, don't expect a pay raise for the first year. That's about what it's going to take to get this stuff going on. 3 months in, they're like, yeah, I'm not seeing a pay raise. I'm out of here. I'm like, okay. Like that's why people quit. 90% of people aren't successful because they don't try. It's a joke, but it's a cool thing for all you guys that are sitting there like, man, can I do this? I can tell you for a fact, if you're willing to try and put your head down, yes, 100% you'll be successful on any terms you want.
I think one of the points that you made, Steve, is that if you've reached Diamond, you have all of the talent and all of the know-how to get somebody else there and then continue doing that repeatedly, like you said, repeat.
Yeah, and I think that a big mistake people make is, first of all, and this is a huge point that I should have made, Diamond is not a finish line. Like I said, it is the start of your business. So the biggest mistake I see people make is they treat it like a finish line. And for most people to hit Diamond, it's like a heart when you get excited and you're close and it's a push and you're, you know, working your butt off to get there. And then it's like, I'm Diamond. Well, if you sit at Diamond before you're solid, it shrinks immediately. You'll get those first couple cancellations and you're no longer Diamond. Now you're right back to pushing. The biggest mistake I see people make is they get to Diamond and they stop that grind, and it's more of a conversation of, okay, you 2 emeralds, now you guys go be diamonds so that I can be 2-star. That ain't how this works. Your product, that ain't how this works.
Steve, you got it. You're good.
I'm from Michigan. That's not how this works. Like, you can't expect anybody to work this business. All you can do is give everybody results and keep going until people really just want to work the business. Then you go all in.
I'm just laughing at Christina. She said she's like a bobblehead over here.
Yes. I love that when I give talks, and I just find like the people in the chat who are like this. I'm like, you're my person. I'm gonna keep looking at you.
Yeah, and they're like in it, smiling, and they laugh at your
You
jokes.
agree with
You're
everything I say.
yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I know that can be confusing, but like everything he
Yeah.
said, doesn't that just make you kind of like pumped to go like crush it? Because it's like, it's not, you don't have to go build your business to 15-star to be able to be a like
No.
wealthy,
Successful.
thriving, successful coach. You can literally go diamond and there's your training, and then you just find enough people to keep filling that, like pumping that well so that they show up and they go diamond. And then it's like, boom, I get to go do this again.
So let me ask everybody a question. Who do you think your best coach will ever be on your team?
I mean, I'm not on your team, but I'm going to be my best coach.
So you're your best coach because you know you're going to put in the work. You have your own accountability program. You know you're going to show up. So why not sign yourself up over and over and over again? I love what Steve said about Diamond being the start of your business. Based on our conversations and what I see, I think 2-star is because then you get a chance to replicate yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're signing up your best coach, which is you.
Yes. Yeah. Well, I think so. Here's the thing: is if you have a goal of being like in a million club or something like that, 2-star is the start of that. Right. Of the big money. Like, it was exactly what you're saying. I think one other thing too that should be very motivating for you guys is motivation itself. That is the key to this. When I have a type A person who's self-motivated and I'm able to get them results, I'm like, you're going to be a huge coach. Let's do this, right? Because those people are very self-motivated. Well, for the rest of us, I'm not super self-motivated. If Jamie didn't start this business, I wouldn't be into it. I mean, that's just how it works. So motivation is very, very hard, almost impossible at the beginning because you don't have that vision locked in. Guys, I can tell you the kind of numbers that I'm throwing out here, when you get to the point where your team cycle bonus is $100, $150 a week, your self-motivation is going to be through the roof, okay? So that is really the point where you can count on yourself waking up every day and being like, what on earth can I do for my business today? Like, you're not gonna feel that way when you're not getting any money, but that point comes, that's really a diamond spot. Like that, somewhere in the midst of being a diamond and building weak leg volume, your team cycle bonus is gonna get to a point where it's you, where it's your husband. For Jamie, it was like, okay, you're making 150 to 200 bucks a week, and I'm broke. I was still at Michigan State, and she would come out there for 6 months while I was still there, and she'd fill up my tank. She'd bring me out for sushi, and I was, broke in college, and it was like that was the moment where I was like, okay, I'm going to stop giving you shit about Beachbody. I wasn't going to drink Shakeology quite yet, but I'm going to allow this to happen now. I'm going to be cool with it. So just focus on that. I mean, 2-star is great, but it's not going to be this tough grind the way that Emerald is. You get to Diamond, your business is substantially easier. I mean, Diamond is like the line in the sand, I think, is everything before it is the hardest, and everything after it gets progressively easier and more lucrative. Like, what other business is like that, So that's the hill. You just got to get over it.
What do you do now, Steve?
What am I doing now?
Yeah, like, what does your life look like now?
Well, it's however I want, I guess. It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. We bought a new house. We got 2 boys, and I'm glad. It's funny because Kevin, my brother, is one of our coaches. His fiance is one of our top coaches now, only because we literally made them do this a couple years ago, right? And so now neither of them work. They do this full time. They're over in Seattle. So Kevin and I talk all the time because nobody else in the world has a schedule like Kevin and I do as far as brothers go, right? So I was talking to him on my AirPods, and I hopped on my 4-wheeler and I went back there and just talking with Kevin. And all of a sudden I went up in my tree stand and I'm just talking with Kevin. He's like, what are you doing? I was like, well, I was working for a little bit, but I'm going to take a break. I'm just like chopping stuff in the woods, making ATV paths for Mavi and myself. And I'm like, wow, blessed. Like this is a work day for me. Granted, that's not working at all, but I can do that anytime I want now. It's really crazy, but honestly, it's tough because this business is so much easier than you think it is. And you just can't see that because you're stuck in the worst part of it. That's how it goes. So yeah, I mean, if you just keep going, you're fine.
Awesome. Any questions, guys? Nothing? I want to ride my horses all day. Stop giving up on myself. I agree with that. Same.
Yeah, and honestly, it's those little things like that. Yeah. Stop giving up on yourself. If you actually stop giving up on yourself, you're golden. That's all it is. And it's so weird because sometimes you just need to lie to yourself. You're like, I don't have this vision, but I'm going to just pretend that I do. And I'm going to try to establish a little bit of work into my routine. It's like anything else. I think it's the same as working out, right? You do it for a week perfectly, and the next week is fun. If you try to piece it together, then next week's not going to be fun because you're still piecing it together. Yeah. Do you guys, somebody gave me a great quote. In our downline, she said, it's the truest thing I've ever heard. This business is very, very easy if you work hard at it, and it is very hard if you just work a little bit at it. Yeah. That's how it goes. And most people are stuck because they don't want to, they're in that hard part. That's all they see. They don't want to invest 5 years of their life into something that's super hard, but that is over so quickly, Awesome. You guys have any more questions? Is anybody watching the game tonight? I'm bitter, so I probably won't.
Who's left?
Virginia and Texas Tech.
Okay, well, Jimmy Fallon's very, very, very scientific way of saying who was going to win was having puppies run to a dog bowl and eat first, and the one wearing Virginia won. So I'm just saying.
It's got to be.
I can believe that. I think that's indicative of how the game's going to go.
That's what the puppy said.
Yeah.
Thank you, Steve. I don't know if you're reading these comments, but everybody is saying, like, fantastic, love this call, best call ever. Like, you're the best call ever. So,
thank you, guys.
There you go.
Love you. Love Jamie. Thank you so much.
Yeah, love you guys too. Of course.
We'll see you
anytime. Thanks for having me.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.
All right. See ya.